Recording in progress.
Hello, hello, Danielle. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much. You just have this infectious smile that radiates all across the internet.
Well, I was going to say the same of you. It's
Thank
wonderful
you
to
so
see
much.
you.
You do have a
And
beautiful smile.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much for joining us today for this virtual summit where we have global experts from just all around the world coming together to share their journey on purpose. And I know that you are a wonderful mom of four, just across the age categories, all age categories almost. And you have written this fabulous book on inner compass mom. Did I say it
Yes.
correctly?
Yes. Yes.
Which ties into your business of inner compass living.
That's right.
Right? Okay.
Right.
Yay, I got it right.
You got it down for sure.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of an overview of your journey towards your purpose?
Yes. So basically what happened is that ever since I can remember, I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I never really cared about a career, even though I went to college and studied developmental psychology back in Holland, in Amsterdam, because I grew up in the Netherlands. And after college, about a year or so after, I met my American husband at my sister's wedding, no less. She was here on a 2-year work visa, met a guy, married him. I attended the wedding. You can read all about it in my book, by the way. It is all in here. And the story of how I met my husband. And by the way, we've been married now for 24 years. We just celebrated 24 years. So
Awesome.
very blessed. We're very blessed. We're very blessed with
sure.
a great connection. But anyway, so I ended up growing up in Holland and then moving over here in 19, am I saying that? 98, immigrated here, and we put off having kids for a little bit. My husband wanted to get his master's in business. Anyway, long story short, over time, we ended up having 4 kids. And I always thought, well, that's my dream. I want to be married. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And we lived in a wonderful neighborhood with wonderful parks and schools. And I'm like, I have everything I ever dreamed of. What's wrong with me? I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? What's going on? And after years of telling myself, just be grateful, it wasn't working for me. And I knew if I didn't make a change, I was going to end up being more and more bitter and resentful. And I didn't want to be that person. So I knew there had to be a way to make a change. So when my youngest was about 3.5 and started going to preschool, I had a little more time to myself, the Tuesday, Thursday morning, the 3 hours. And I made sure that at least part of that time I would spend on me, because I knew if I didn't take the chance, nothing was going to change and I would still be miserable and unhappy. So I decided to just take the quiet time, to not have mommy, like that silence. I was craving silence. And then I realized I want to read books on spirituality and psychology. So I read Deepak, I read Dr. Shivali Tsabari on the awakened parent, or the conscious parent in the awakened family, I think. I read books by Eckhart Tolle and Paulo Coelho and on Brene Brown. And I started to get inspired again. And what happened was there was so much wisdom in all these books. I started writing all those nuggets of wisdom down, and I reflected on my own experiences. And so we started journaling. And then I realized how much fun would it be to create my own book. And at that point, I had already stumbled upon something that I now call creating your why not list. It's a tool that I describe in my book. And I even made a short video about it on how to use it, because it is so powerful. when you create your why not list, like I did, with everything that inspires you, that you would love to do, that you're curious about, and you take it seriously and you pursue it, everything starts to open up. And that's what happened with me. I put on that list, write my own book. Now, my ego shut it down many times, like, who do you think you are? There's no way you're going to follow through and complete that. What are other people going to think? They're going to think I'm crazy. But that's what I learned. That's the sweet spot, because that's where the change needs to happen. It's in our thinking, it's in our beliefs. We have to allow ourselves to unravel those limiting ideas and beliefs until we find a perspective that allows us to move on. So I went on that journey of unraveling all of that. And in the end, yes, I published the book, and it transformed me. And along the way, which is essential to the story here of people understanding, I had a spiritual awakening, and it lasted several days. What happened was I got stuck in life once again. Even though I had gone on this spiritual path, I felt like an island within my family, and it didn't feel right anymore, and I didn't know how to fix it. So what I do is I throw my question out into the universe, to God. You pray, you meditate, whatever you want to call it, and an answer comes. I've had it so many times now, and the answer came of how to connect to my family in a spiritual way without preaching and trying to convince them to see it my way, is this spiritual awakening in which I was made whole and showered with unconditional love. I was forgiven. I finally understood what forgiveness really meant. I loved my family unconditionally, meaning I accepted their flaws as part of the human condition. So I finally was whole myself, accepting all my flaws as it's just we're human beings and we're all flawed. And it's okay. It's about learning and growing. And for the longest time, I thought, there's no way I will ever write about it. How can I ever express in words what is happening to me? People will think I'm crazy. And of course, as time went by and I started sharing little pieces of it with people I trusted, I realized this is exactly why you have to share your story and you have to write about it. So that's kind of the long version of my story, where I am today and what I'm trying to do in the world, helping others, especially moms, find their purpose and uncover their false and limiting beliefs so that they can move forward in life.
Oh, that is awesome, Danielle. Purpose journey. And so in this awakening, you came into the enlightenment of this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
How did you get certainty of what that was?
It's a journey. You might have a moment where you're like, I know for sure. And then doubt starts creeping in. And that's all normal. I think it's actually very healthy, because we don't want to be impulsive. We do want to think it through. And we don't get there overnight anyway, because there's so much to unravel. There's so many limiting beliefs that we often have of ourselves that hold us back. So you have to allow yourself some time to process all of that, to work on these limiting beliefs and find new perspectives that help you move forward. And it takes time to it's like trying on a new identity. Of maybe more confidence, or where maybe you weren't confident in the past. And now it's like a new identity. Yeah, it takes time to get comfortable with that. So you have to allow yourself that time and space to lean into that and try it out and see what that's like and how to get comfortable with it. And it's just a journey. So what I will say is, when something keeps coming back to the surface, like my idea about writing my book, trust that there's something there. It's like your soul is talking to you. There's inspiration there. And if the excitement keeps coming back, even though your ego shuts it down many times, if it keeps coming back, there's something there. Sit with it, explore it, read about it, write about it, find information about it, because there's something there and you have to honor it. And then also examine all your limiting ideas about why you should not pursue it versus why you should pursue it. Make that list, the pros and cons, and see what comes up. And stay with it and just see, especially journal about it, because what happens often, things shift gradually. For many of us, it's a gradual process. And when you journal, you actually have an opportunity to look back, and then often we'll see, wow, I actually have shifted and made progress towards my purpose. And I am more joyful. I am doing more things that inspire me, because that is what I believe purpose is. Purpose is, it's inspiration. And it can be a lot of different things. It could be one big thing, but following the path of inspiration will lead you to living a more purposeful life. That's how I look at it.
Okay. Now, how long after you got the vision to write the book did you actually write the book?
I had, let's say, I had the idea came to me like, how much fun would it be to write a book? And then I think it took me several months, maybe 6 months, until I had more of a, it was just, I was in a very relaxed state where you have that higher level of consciousness, that higher level of awareness, where you're kind of in a space where you're kind of beyond time. It's like a sense of timelessness a little more, where you're really connected to your inner compass. And it was so clear to me that, yes, of course you're meant to write this book. Why not? Just do it. And I started working on it in secret. I didn't tell anybody in the beginning, which is something that I highly recommend. Whenever you have a dream, you've got to make sure you protect it, because it's like a delicate seed that if you share it with the wrong people, oh, they can tear it apart and you're going to give up before you've even started. So you have to be very careful. So I protected my dream of writing this book until it was strong enough within me, until I had written my ideas, I'd written a few chapters, and until I was so excited about it that no matter what anybody else would have said, I was going to do it anyway. That's kind of the place where you have to be before you start sharing it with people.
You
So
know,
that
there's
answered
like
your question.
Yeah, there's like different positions, and that's impressive because you know some people go their entire lives and they know that they need to write a book, but they never do it. You know, it's 20, 30, 40 years and they still have not written the book that they know they're supposed to write. So I'm impressed that you really acted on yours. Now, with that, you know, there's some people who say definitely share your dream, because then you're held accountable to your dream of executing it and carrying it out. But that's also your position is also another viewpoint where some people will say you have to protect your dream and don't share it with anyone. So you just got to figure that piece out for yourself.
Yes.
Do you share it? Do you not? I mean, there are some things that I shared early on, and there are some things that I didn't. I mean, I can't really say that I withheld the information intentionally. I think for me, it was just trying to figure things out. So it's like, what do I tell you if I'm not really sure myself just yet? So I think that was my experience.
Yeah. I think the key is, who do you share it with? You have to know who to trust. And at some point, I worked with a writing coach who knew exactly how to guide me and tuned into what it is that I wanted to share. And then we worked together because I needed also somebody. I knew myself, like if I don't have a writing coach that holds me accountable and turn in a chapter every 2 weeks, it's never going to finish. So, you know, but who you share it with, it's very important. I think, to your point, you do need to start sharing it at some point. Otherwise, there's a chance it will never happen. So you are absolutely right about that, but you just have to know who you share it with. I think that's
For sure. So good. Now, you just mentioned that you had a coach to help you in the process.
Yes.
And do you think that it's important to have a coach in your life, whatever your path is? Do you find that that's something that is critical in the process of your becoming, if you would?
I I think it just depends on who you are, but I have heard from many people now that even the best authors have a writing coach. They have at least an editor, because there's things that you don't see, or you have a team that gets feedback about the book, so you can fine tune it. And it just depends on who you are. And if you don't want to have a coach, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to give this my all and do my own thing and self-publish, perhaps, then go for it. Honestly, there's no you got to follow your heart. And if that's what you want to do, you got to honor it and just go for it and have fun with it. If there's one thing that I'm still having to remind myself, have fun with it. Otherwise you get into your mind, and then you get stuck.
Yes.
And then the flow,
Yeah.
there's no more flow. And I have to remind myself regularly, have some fun with it and stop overanalyzing everything.
Yes, for sure. And my experience has been, I have a coach in like multiple areas of my life. And the reason for that is because I want to go farther, faster. I mean, if you have self-discipline, which I do consider myself a pretty disciplined individual, but even with that discipline, to be able to tap into some knowledge from someone else who's already been there and done that is just invaluable. It has been invaluable for me. Instead of me trying to figure out everything about everything on my own. Gosh, who would have that much amount of time?
Yeah, we
Who would
don't.
have that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also why I went with a publisher. So I did hybrid publishing, basically, because I was thinking to myself, if I do self-publishing, there is so much to figure out, and I don't think I have the time or the patience to figure it all out. So that was my path. But it's just whatever individuals want to do, you got to honor what you feel is right for you. And again, tune into your inner compass. I'm all about that, and honor that and see if that works for you. And also allow yourself to change your mind. If you're really set on doing it one particular way, you might end up getting stuck, because you have to now reframe your beliefs about, well, I'm going to do self-publishing no matter what, this and that, which is great. Explore it and allow yourself a little space to say, you know what, I think maybe I do want to get some coaching, or find another way to get help with what I'm doing with, this book publishing. And so being flexible, I think, is a good idea in a lot of areas anyway.
Yeah, specifically from a book standpoint. And I mean, that's obviously not the only area of growth.
Yes.
That's not the only growth opportunity, but it is something that actually over 90% of the population desires to do, is to write a book.
Yeah.
But a very, very small percentage actually does. And there's a reason for that. There is a reason for that.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I mean, for me personally, it wasn't hard, but it was really difficult. It was one of the most difficult things that I've done. And I'm like, it just didn't make sense to me. But after you've completed the process, and that's where the coach can kind of let you know what emotions that you may be feeling along the path, that kind of creates that expectancy in your life, where you don't have to figure it all out or think that you're a loser or that you just are hopeless. Then okay, I'm not the first to feel this way. And for me personally, that's always reassuring to know that I'm not the only one suffering through this.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a big one. That's why I am connected to other moms who are authors, and other authors who are not moms. But it's very important that you get support, and so what others are struggling with as well. So you're not the only one. And especially when it comes to being a mom, I think it's so important to be connected to other moms, so you're not the only one suffering in silence, because being a mom is so difficult, I think, in today's world, especially. with all the technology and social media, and there's a lot expected of moms. And so I think to be connected and knowing we're not the only ones is extremely valuable.
Absolutely. That sense of community is just critical. It is absolutely critical in the process to know that you got someone else alongside of you to encourage you, not to tear you down. Because oftentimes I think women feel that we're in competition with one another, but we are so much stronger when we're together, just a lot stronger together. And so if we can just embrace that aspect of sisterhood and support each other and create this mindset of abundance, and knowing that there is plenty of room for your gift, my gift, and everyone else's gift, and all of these billions of people in the world.
Absolutely. It reminds me, I so hear your words. It reminds me of when I was working on my book and we were figuring out the categories and some comp books. This woman who is really a specialist in this area said, don't look at other books as your competition. You might just be on the same bookshelf. And I thought that was a great idea. We're all maybe writing about the same areas, or maybe whatever, maybe we're a coach and we're all life coaches or whatever, but we all bring something different and unique, and we're there to support each other. We're not competing. We're all bringing our own unique version of being an author, writing a book, or coaching that, it's going to resonate with individuals, and what might not resonate with one will resonate with another. And, when you're coming from a place of sharing, of connecting, there's just so much goodness that's going to come out of that versus competing. And because then you're living out of fear, and then it comes from fear. And then it comes from love and abundance and connection. There's a lot of good that comes out of that, I believe.
There really is. And there's a huge difference in urgency and desperation.
Yes.
Two totally different thoughts of philosophy,
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So Danielle, tell me something. Have you been able to monetize doing what you love, fulfilling your purpose?
There is definitely an investment that comes with writing a book, with setting up your own company. And so that is shifting for me now as I'm coaching, and I just have my audiobook coming out any day now, which is really helpful for those moms who are so busy they don't have time to read, but they will listen while they're multitasking, commuting, or folding laundry. And so, yes, it is starting, but it takes a few years, at least for me, it did. But when you do something that you believe is part of your purpose, when you do something that is so inspiring, and from the feedback you've gotten from other people who've read your book, who've done coaching with you, and it's shifting their lives, and they have their aha moments, they're waking up to their own limiting beliefs, it is worth everything that I've put in. It is worth it, because then it's not work. It's a joy, because it is in giving that we receive, I believe. When you really give from that place, you're not emptying yourself out. It's like you're just flowing that life energy through you, and you're not depleting yourself, you're giving. And when the other person receives it and gets their insights and can now move on into a positive direction, it's just beautiful, and it's worth everything. So that's what
I
keeps
love
me
that
going.
so much. Beautiful analogy. They say when you are doing what you love, you never work a day of your life.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
relevant to what you just shared. Absolutely. So tell me, Danielle, on the topic of legacy, leading a legacy, what does that mean for you? Is that something that you are looking to do, lead a legacy with your life, with your accomplishments? And what exactly does that mean?
What I'm thinking of now is the book that I wrote has so much to do with how I think we can create our own fulfilling and meaningful life with inspiration and inner peace. And life is not always easy. There's a lot of, especially I think today's world. And I know now I have this book to leave for my children. They're still pretty young. They're between 11 and 19. And I'm hoping that even when I'm not around or whatever, I don't know what my future holds for me, but there's a book there for my kids that they can, you know, they can read and they can get the wisdom from. And I think, I guess in a way it is a legacy. And I haven't really fully thought about it that way, but it does kind of feel that way. It's nice. I'm so glad I did it for many different reasons. And part of the reason is to leave that for my children. And so that there's something, I don't know, more tangible for them and some guidance, even when I'm not around, there's some guidance for them and encouragement. So it does feel very nice.
Yes. And so what about, is there a financial legacy you want to leave behind for your children as well?
You know, I will say, I believe that we encourage our kids to create their own independent life, because I think there's so much strength that comes from that. When everything is given to you, sometimes that actually prevents us from really tuning in with what it is we want. Like our children, I want them to figure out what it is they're passionate about and then be eager enough to pursue it and do it. And sometimes that means you're going to have odd jobs to, you know, pay the bills. But I think there's a lot of value in our kids grown up being independent. So I'm not necessarily looking to leave a financial legacy behind. But who knows? Yeah, I believe in giving our kids their own strength, find your own path, and find your own inner strengths. And there's a lot of confidence that comes with making your own way into the world, I think.
I agree. And part of it, and then the other part, you know, because yes, I totally agree that they need to be independent in their own right. They need to pursue their own goals and aspirations. But the other part, like for me, I look at it as, okay, I empower them to have their own and, you know, build their retirement fund and everything when they're younger, live off of their retirement. But yet I want them to have my fund for future generations, something that, I mean, I'm not taking it to my grave with me. So
Yep.
I definitely want, you know, to leave that for my children, you know, by all means. But
yeah, I can see
them,
that too, for sure. I can
yes,
see
for
that too,
sure.
because with the right mindset, for sure,
Yes,
you can build even bigger and build amazing dreams. So I can
yes.
absolutely relate to it. And I think
Mhm.
this has so much to do with maybe how we were raised, what we grew up with. I mean, there's always a different perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
There's, you know, there's my perspective, which I've seen. So it just depends on what your focus is. My focus is on when everything is given, that doesn't always mean it makes life easier. It does, but sometimes you're missing that inner strength that kids have to, or young adults have to tap into. On the other
Mhm.
hand, what you're saying is when you give your kids or young adults an opportunity with finances, oh my, they can really have a chance to fulfill their dreams. So I can absolutely relate to that also. I think there's just different perspectives, and it doesn't mean
Mhm.
one is more true than the other. I think they're both true. It just depends on the situation and where you're coming from.
So true. If you think you can, I think you can. You're right. So good. Okay, so let's see, that's legacy. Legacy, that's, one of those fine lines, and it can go so many different directions.
Yeah.
But for you, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience today, these beautiful ladies seeking their purpose that might help them, something that we have not already discussed?
Let's say you already know what it is you want. A lot of my clients that I talk to already know, and at some point they put words to it. I'm like, yes, that's it. Why aren't you doing anything with it? Or what is holding you back from pursuing that? And that's the sweet spot. Analyze it, write about it. Why am I not pursuing this? What if I pursue this? What would that feel like? And then there's all these emotions that come up and thoughts, and they're all limiting beliefs. So, or sometimes it's right underneath the surface of what it is that we really want to do. And I highly advise, create a why not list, write down everything that you're inspired, that inspires you, that you love to pursue, that is meaningful, anything you always wanted to do when you were little, like one day when I'm an adult, I'm going to do this or this, or write that book, write it all down and don't censor yourself. That's where people get stuck. They start censoring themselves before they put on the paper. You have to write it down and you chip away at it and you start with the small things and then you keep going. Keep going after it and journal about why you're stuck, all the beliefs. Maybe it goes back to your childhood, but it's all in you. You know your purpose. You just got to connect to it, tune into that inner compass and really sense what's all there.
Very good. Thank you so much, Danielle, for sharing with us today your wisdom, knowledge on purpose and that inner compass, and being able to follow that inner compass to get in alignment with your purpose. That was so awesome. Thank you so much. How does this audience reach out to you if they want to connect with you later?
And first of all, thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute joy. And I think what you're doing is amazing and wonderful and very meaningful to so many women out there. So the best way people can reach me is go to my website at innercompossliving.com. And there's a connect page. And you can send me an email or get on my newsletter email list. And you won't miss a thing about anything, my audiobook being released and other fun things coming up. So innercompossliving.com, that's the best way. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I look forward to connecting in the near future.
Absolutely. I would love to stay in touch with you. Good luck with everything.
Sure. Thank you.